I would love to take the opportunity here to introduce you to our panelists, who are in fact alums. And what I would love for each of you to do, and if we could just do it in the order here, to introduce yourself, talk a little bit about what you did before Sloan Fellows, and if it's something different, or perhaps you stayed with the same organization, what it is that you're doing now. And I would love to begin with Catalina.
Sure, Donna, thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Catalina Guillo. I am a Sloan Fellow 2019. Before the Sloan Fellows program, I was actually working as, I am a lawyer, and I was working as Deputy Superintendent in the Superintendency of Corporations in Colombia, working as a judge for the solution of controversies related to corporate law. After the Sloan Fellows program, I'm now working on the financial sector. I'm working on the second largest bank in Colombia, which is Davivienda, and doing the three things that I like the most. Working on law because I'm legal director, but I'm working on fintech and innovation on the financial sector. So I'm combining everything that I have learned on the MBA on this new job.
Thank you. Sebastian.
Yeah, thanks, Donna. Hi, everyone. My name is Sebastian Barriga. I go by Seb. I'm originally from Quito, Ecuador. Before Sloan, I did the first 10 years in investment banking, and then the previous 10 years in private equity. I came to MIT to understand how technology is driving new businesses. And after Sloan, I've started my own fund in venture capital with two of my Sloan Fellow colleagues and a Sloan professor.
Thank you. Nayeli?
You're on mute, Nayeli.
Oh, perfect.
Thank you. It's been years with this and still in mute. Thank you so much. So my name is Nayeli. I'm originally from Mexico City, and I'm a marketer with over 15 years of experience in healthcare, nutrition, and wearable devices. Previous to Sloan, I worked in Mexico, in Brazil, and in Switzerland. I had the pleasure to be with Nestle for over 14 years, where I led the strategic transformation of global brands in the infant nutrition and the health science business units. And after graduating, I remained in the same industry and function, but transitioned market and company. I joined Abbott as a senior brand manager for a couple of brands, which is Zone Perfect, and also CRM for the Ensure and Glucerna brands.
Thank you. Gonzalo.
Hello, everyone. I'm Gonzalo Bram. I'm from Santiago de Chile. Still living now in Santiago de Chile after the program. My previous experience after the program was mainly in business administration in both private and public sector. My last job was in a trade association similar to the Business Roundtable in the US. And I came to MIT to make a switch in my career for a more public sector oriented to private sector. So after the program, I joined a private equity fund here in Chile, working as an operation director for the investments in Latin America.
Thank you. I'm just smiling here because it's just hard to believe that, like, I met many of you throughout the application process, and now you've all gone through the program and graduated and have been working for a while. It's just hard for me to believe all that. Anna,
it's been more than a year.
Donna. That's crazy. I'm just thinking about it. It's crazy.
Hi, everybody. My name is Ana Blanco. I'm from Brazil. I'm a Sloan Fellow 18, so 5 years that I've graduated in the program right now. Before I joined the program, I've gone through a career in supply chain, leading different areas in supply chain, initially in Procter & Gamble, then in General Electric. When I left to MIT, I was leading supply chain in GE in Latin America. And I had the desire to make a career change and move from a functional role to a business role. And that's what happened. So after Sloan Fellow, I came back to Brazil. I joined DHL, a logistics company, and I ran 2 business units for DHL, the retail and the technology business units here in Brazil. More recently, I moved to a global role, and I'm in charge of the customer strategy globally for DHL supply chain.
Well, thank you. Okay, so over the next half hour or so, with all of your help, I want to give an overview of what the Sloan Fellows curriculum is like, the community is like, the career opportunities are like. I'm going to talk a little bit about the application process, and if we have time, take any questions that we might have from the audience. I also have a few colleagues online who are also answering any questions that there might be along the way as well. And so let's talk about curriculum. It is definitely one that is flexible and customizable. We very much have a focus on what we call hands-on action learning, which really stems from the MIT motto of mind and hand. And so we really, as a school, look for opportunities to teach, to learn, and then to apply as quickly as possible. And it very much has a focus on innovation and data-driven decision-making. I can't tell you enough about that. And what I would actually love for each of you to do is to really spend a minute or two talking about how you shaped your particular academic experience to meet your own personal needs and interests, and perhaps even highlighting if there was something that happened that you didn't really expect. You came in thinking, oh, this is what I'm going to study, but you know what? I was exposed to all of this, and therefore I spent some time, learning something else. I'm gonna just, I have all of your names here, and so I know I'm going to play around, I think, a little bit with the slides, because I think it's really helpful for people to see more about all of you. So I'm going to go back and put this up, but really want you all to talk a little bit about your academic experience is what I'm looking for. And I'm going to start with Gonzalo. I don't know why, but I thought I would.
So regarding those 3 points that you mentioned, Donna, I believe that for me, the action learning perspective of the program was something that I applied for each of the terms that I study at MIT. Actually, I would say that was the way that impacted more throughout the program. I took 3 classes regarding that. And actually, in one of the classes, I get to know one great team of colleagues that we developed one startup idea and went out actually until the finals of the 100K program in the MIT. So it was an awesome experience, and I believe in my way of learning things, it's learning by doing. So for me, action learning was one of the best experience through the program.
Great, thank you. How about Nayeli?
Thank you. So I definitely tailored my academic experience based on, as a marketer, what we have been seeing, it's that brand building and strengthening a brand just by creative assets is not longer that relevant. What it's more relevant nowadays, and has been for a couple of years, is the analytics, data and analytics of the audiences you have, of the data you have. So I really tailored my curriculum in terms of taking all classes I was able to. That was, let's say, sports analytics, marketing analytics, digital marketing, and any class where I could, AI, of course, that I could just learn how these companies, great companies, Meta, Google, IBM, are actually analyzing their data, so I can learn to implement in the future. So that's what I did.
Great, thank you. How about Anna? You're on mute. Sorry.
I'll tell a little bit of the story because
Good.
when I arrived, I had something in mind and I ended up with something different. So as I told you before, I came with the goal of using MIT as an opportunity also to make a career change, move to the business side. Having said that, for me, it was very clear that I would take the opportunity of being in MIT to polish my skills in strategy and finance, as well as explore new technologies. And that was one of the key reasons that I choose MIT versus other programs. When I arrived, I intensified the exploration of new technologies, decided to write the thesis, and my thesis was based on artificial intelligence applied to supply chain. So imagine that happened 5 years ago. So AI was not in the hype that we are today. The hype at that moment was blockchain. But I understood that AI was a technology that, in my point of view, would be the one to change things. And that was a different thing than I thought from the beginning. Another point was you're going to see that there's a lot of things going on in terms of data analytics at MIT. So I took the opportunity also to follow the data analytics certificate. So I got all the required subjects to have the certificate by the end of the course. So I've learned a lot about statistics and analytics, that even like some programming that I haven't done since my engineering school years. But it was quite different from my early expectations. And I would say that happened with most of my colleagues. You arrive with something in mind, and there's so many possibilities. You open your mind when you were in the program, and then most of the people start exploring things that were not in the wish list before you start the program.
Wow, it's great. I love facilitating these panels. I learn something new every time I talk to somebody. It's great. Sebastian, tell us your story.
Yeah, sure. For me, having spent more than 20 years working with very, very established companies, I wanted to demystify entrepreneurship. One of the things I learned here at MIT is that it can be taught, and it is a process. And that if you dive yourself not only into the classes, but into the entire ecosystem of how of the approach that MIT has for startups, that was something that I didn't expect I would learn. Not only again in the classes, but participating in the 100K competition, Delta V, and it was very, very enriching.
Right. And then last but not least, Catalina.
Something very similar of what happened to Anna happened to me. I had a very clear idea of what I wanted to do at MIT at first, and everything changed throughout the journey. As a lawyer, all that I wanted from this program was to have better management skills and leadership skills. And I wanted to have the core courses, but on the electives, take all the leadership courses. And it all changed. The other fellows told me, you are on MIT. It's like you are not taking full advantage of what MIT has to offer to you. So I started taking technology classes. Blockchain was in hype when I was on MIT, and that's why right now I'm working on blockchain projects. I know a lot because I took that classes with Gary Gensler. I also took finance classes, especially M&A and venture capital, and that's what I'm working right now also. So I took the full advantage of the MIT experience, looking more on numbers, entrepreneurship, data, finance, and not only the leadership courses, although MIT is very good at that also, I changed my plans and it resulted perfectly.
Well, thank you. I think, whenever we talk about curriculum, I think it's really important to highlight our faculty. We have faculty who each and every one of them are experts and really thought leaders in their field. In addition, I think this is where perhaps we might separate ourselves from others, is just how much they enjoy being in the classroom with the students. And how much they will potentially go above and beyond, or do things outside of the classroom. It's not uncommon at all to walk through the cafeteria and to see one of our faculty sitting there having coffee with a group of students. I certainly don't want to put all of you on the spot, but do any of you happen to have a favorite faculty story or two that you might want to share with the group, just to really highlight what I'm saying here in terms of just really unbelievable faculty engagement?
Well,
Well,
I really enjoyed Professor Ben Shields. So he teaches sports analytics and social media analytics. So he's just all over sports, and that's something that really interests me. He was able to bring to the classroom amazing people that really speak about their work. I mean, we had people from Nike, we had people from Formula One, we had people from all over the place, and they were top management. So that was what really added value to my expertise, to my experience, just discussing. At some point, I was with the person that created all the foundation for Formula One, discussing how the soccer analytics were implemented in the US, discussing how amazing creative agencies and media agencies just create their plans for amazing brands. So that's something I'm pretty sure I will not be able to have in my life without the support of the professor.
Anybody else?
I would like to compliment the experience with the professor. It starts at MIT, but it doesn't end at MIT. So every time that we have those professors coming in on the ground to our countries, they are super open. Like 2 months ago, Ben Shields was here for a conference in e-commerce. We went out for dinner. In the beginning of the year, we had a couple of professors in the entrepreneurship program that we ran in Rio. So we had dinner with the professors, we met them, they spent time talking about their recent research. So it's something that you're gonna experience during your MIT times, but it doesn't end when you graduate.
I have heard that many times from alums all over the world, actually, putting that out. Sebastian, have you been trying to weigh in here?
Yeah, I was. Thank you for that. So I really enjoyed management of services from St. Epton. It taught me that businesses can be designed from an operational point of view to be efficient. And if you focus on the employees first, employees will take care of the customers. And if the customers are taken care of, your profit will lift. So that trifecta and that virtuous cycle, it is possible to get. To me, that was an enigma before. I also enjoyed very much Andrew Lowe's classes. I think he's really onto something, coming from a finance background. I didn't want to take finance classes, but his class I definitely wanted to take because he's out of this world. And of course, Sinan Aral, that it was a surprise for me. I thought I was getting into, an easy digital marketing class. It was very insightful.
So I just want to highlight that point, because you've now said it a couple of times, and in having conversations with others, after their summer or as alums, I often hear, our Sloan Fellows, you all have 10, 15, 20 years of experience. There's potentially the mindset that this will be a great opportunity to network and to, meet other people. But the thought of actually learning something I think for some individuals is a bit of a surprise when it like really happens. Is that fair to say?
Oh, definitely. I mean, the thing is with experience, and this is my personal opinion, right? But with experience, and as you go up in institutions, you tend to be funnier and then you be more intelligent. And that's because people are not arguing with you. When you come to class, you're at the same level as everybody else, and your mindset is to learn. So if you open up to that, you realize there's a lot of research behind what you're being taught by people that are world class, then yeah, it's a tremendous opportunity to learn new stuff.
One last thing I want to mention is the fact that as much flexibility as our students have, our faculty does as well. And so we are not a case-based school. You will take different classes, and the faculty have, full reign in terms of how they may teach. So you'll take classes that are traditional lectures and problem sets. Many of the classes you'll take will actually be project-based. And then we have a category of these projects that we call our action learning lab classes, where you're really focused throughout the entire semester on helping to identify and solve a real problem for a real company. There's always the risk of someone not having done this, but did any of you participate in an action learning lab class that you might want to share your experience? No?
Sure, Donna. Yeah, I took 3
Okay.
classes in action learning. So I
Oh,
would
good.
say
I'm
that-
sorry, you just weren't on
I
my
have a
screen.
master's degree in action learning. But for sure, as I mentioned before, learning by doing was one of the things that I was looking in the program. So I took 3 different courses that I would say was very transformative. First, because I took one of the tracks that is the entrepreneurship management track, I believe. I'm forgetting the names now, but enterprise management, sorry. So I was trying to look for a track that will help me understand better different courses and not just to focus on one. Actually, at the beginning, I was trying to focus more on health tech, but then I decided not to do it. So I went through that program, and you work with real companies on real problems. So actually I decided to work with a startup that it's on the ag tech. It's a startup that was working on the cannabis market, doing a technology that will help them capture or better anticipate any disease on plants. So we worked for a full semester with them, knowing the problems and helping them solve the problems. And it was very insightful. It's a different way of learning for sure. And it's a mixing between getting into a course, get the framework, that I believe it's an important part of the MIT experience. So you will learn a framework, but then you will need to apply it for a real life a problem or case, no? So that was for sure a great experience. And the other one was a course that mixed together students from Sloan, that it's in the management and business management side, but with also scientists or students in the science area. So we get together with teams of scientists and people from design and management, and work with real cases of labs. So we bring them one technology from the lab that was helping to improve the way of performing X-ray images. And as I mentioned before, we worked together for half of the year that I was at MIT, and we ended up presenting on the 100K. It was also a great experience to bring a technology from the lab and do this real application of that technology. So for sure, actual learning is a great way of performing the program.
Great. So Gonzalo mentioned tracks. We have, as I mentioned, you have a lot of flexibility in terms of shaping your experience. We've actually done a little bit of cleanup here with regard to tracks and certificates and have standardized them a bit. And we now have 7 certificates. So if you're interested in, as you mentioned, enterprise management or finance or entrepreneurship and innovation, sustainability, healthcare, business analytics, or digital product management, we have these certificates that you can participate in that you might want to think of like a roadmap or perhaps a concentration. They're open up to the greater Sloan community, and Sloan Fellows, even though you have 3 semesters, can definitely complete one of these certificates. So thank you very much for mentioning that. All right, I want to move outside of the classroom because I don't want people to get the impression that you have spent your entire year, in the classroom, because that's certainly not the case. We have lots of activities outside of the classroom. As an MIT Sloan student, you are also an MIT student. And so when you think about engaging in clubs, conferences, competitions, you have this whole range of Sloan events and activities you can engage in, as well as those outside. And I might think it's worth noting that within the Sloan Fellows community itself, you also have an awful lot of activities that are very Sloan Fellow specific. And so what I would love actually for each of you to do is to talk a little bit about, activities that you focused on outside of the classroom. And let's begin with Anna. We'll just go straight down the row.
Outside, well, I've participated in basically all the activities. The community organizes like the national nights, where each one of the different nationalities in the classroom organizes dinner or parties. That was super fun, and it was a way for us to connect with our colleagues as well as learn more about different cultures. The same way that Donna had described, my cohort had like around 40 different nationalities. So it was an amazing experience. What I hear is that people that goes with the family, usually they are super happy as a family as well. So the family can connect. It's not something that happens with the students, but with the partners that by the end of the day become part of a big family or an extended cohort, let's put this way. In my case, I had like a teenager with me, so most of the families they do have younger kids. So the connection that my daughter established was pretty much based on the school, that it's also great. So she still keeps in touch with the friends that she had made in the school during that year. And it was a great experience for her as well.
Great, thank you. Gonzalo.
So outside the class, yeah, I've joined so different of the groups and clubs that there is at MIT. I will, for sure, for Latin Americans, there is a Latin American club. If you are Chilean, here we have also a strong Chilean community at MIT, especially in the 2 years. There were plenty of students, and the community, actually the MIT network here at Chile is very strong. So I keep in contact with them permanently. And I will say that also spend time around the city, not just focus on studying. I love fishing, fly fishing. So I spent plenty of time with some of the classmates doing fly fishing in the rivers around the Cambridge. So it's a beautiful place, especially during spring and autumn. So for sure you will enjoy the city. Many times they will tell you that you should go to the West Coast because they have better climate, and I will say that Boston it's amazing. No, even though there is some snow, that it's also beautiful, especially for people that doesn't live in snowy countries. But it's mostly sunny, and it's impressive how sunny it's the city, and it's beautiful to run around and enjoy your time there. It's an amazing city.
Thank you. I am true blue Bostonian, so I greatly appreciate that. Nayeli.
Yeah, so I definitely enjoyed a lot the journey we had. I moved to Cambridge with my husband. So when I was accepted we had this discussion, and he was like, no, I'm quitting my job. I'm moving with you all over it. He've never had a 1 year off the job. So he said, okay, this is the way. So we decided to live on campus. And with that, actually, he got his MIT card. He had access to all resources. So probably my friends Gonzalo, Sebastian, they saw my husband Lucas just around the different classes and clubs and all over the place. So I saw that some of you just in the Q&A chat asked for it. Definitely, it's a great experience for your significant other. And I found out, definitely, I mean, we're from Latin America, so we tend to just go together since we just hear music, tequila, samba, and whatever we see. But you will find that there are different people from the cohort that have a Latin heart. I had friends from India that they say, I saw it in my past life. I was born in Latin America. People from Japan that really adore our culture. But it's really just putting this spicy thing in. As soon as you put a place for a party, everyone will come over. Everyone is invited, is welcome. So it was just an amazing experience. Definitely, you have, unfortunately, since Donna mentioned, it's an accelerated program. So if you really focus on studying, you will have kind of little time, but those spaces that you have between classes on weekends, you can just be all over the place, meet people. I would say that my most important learning experience came from my classmates, definitely. I mean, I adore professors, I learned a ton, but I can tell you stories about Sebastian and Gonzalo, what I learned from them, and it's just by looking how they interact with others, how they handle certain topics, finance and others, and now I'm applying that to my job. It's like, I mean, I saw how they handle an issue. Now I know it worked, and now I'm applying that to the, I would say, real world, going back to the work. Definitely, that's what you get from the experience.
Thank you. Sebastian, you're up.
Yeah, so look, I was probably one of the many that decided to take all the limits in credits and go to as many classes as I could. But I would say the sharing with the cohort, it's the highlight. I've made lifelong friends during that year. And I think one of the most important things, one of the highlights of the program was the Israel trek. We went with a class and we immersed ourselves in a culture that was foreign to me. And it was a mixture of understanding their past, understanding their religions, understanding their it's a startup nations, understanding the ecosystem, and meeting with founders of companies, with investors. It was a fantastic, life-changing trip. So definitely don't miss out on all the things social that the program has to offer. And I would say that Sloan Fellow programs is very, very well organized. So it's the pressure is not on you. The pressure will be, you know, which ones you select, but definitely don't miss out on all the experience, and not only in classes.
Yeah, before we go on, I could just double down on that. I totally agree with you. And, you know, this is, I'm on the front end here, and I see Joe Hissing DeFabio, who is the assistant dean for the program, and her whole team, and how much they care about your experience and investing in all of you to ensure that each one of you has an amazing experience. It's really very impressive. And I think it makes a difference. Catalina, last but certainly not least.
I think that the program is really intense, and the curriculum is as intense as you want it to be. So as Sebastian said, like, you definitely shouldn't miss like all the social activities and the extracurricular activities that are also happening around campus and with your fellows. Like, we lived by the motto of no fellow left behind, and it actually happens and lives with us nowadays. We work, like, we not only work with these people, but the fellows become your family. I went myself to Cambridge, but I was never alone. I was always with my fellows. So, and right now I talked with most of them. I know what they're going to, what are they working into. We ask each other's for advice. So building that community on the social activities, the extracurricular activities is very important. And I remember the most the trips. So we make a ski trip, Vermont, on the spring break, Miami. So it is very fun and you can take advantage of that too.
Thank you. Okay, I want to talk about careers. You notice I haven't advanced the slides at all because I think just hearing from you all is really what everybody has actually called in for. So, so for Sloan Fellows, I think everybody who comes to Sloan Fellows is looking to advance their career in one way or another. We certainly have, a representative number of people who are sponsored by their employers who are looking, to advance within a company. We have people who are looking to perhaps pivot and do something different. It really runs the gamut. And you come into this program with a variety of experience levels, really anywhere from 10 is pretty much the minimum, but to 20 plus. And Sebastian, you're not alone. You're a year, if I'm remembering correctly, with over 20 years of experience, correct? Yeah, that's what I thought. And so what our career development office has really done over the past, I'm going to say 5 years and pretty effectively, is really better understand our Sloan Fellows population, what your needs are from a career standpoint, and have really been able to provide very specific tailored resources for our individuals, because you all really, again, coming in with different levels of experience, hoping to do different things. I don't know if any of you, spent much time engaging with the career development office, because again, you may have had your own networks that you were leveraging, but if anybody wants to talk about your experience with them, that would be terrific. Anybody? No? Okay. Again, very highly customizable one-on-one experiences. What I need to do now is actually catch up on my slides. So give me a second here. If I could do that. We've talked about a lot of these things here already. Oh, so this is certainly worth noting. As an MIT Sloan student, you become an MIT Sloan alum as well as an MIT alum. And so that means, and we've heard a little bit about the strength of networks, Gonzalo talked about Chile. We actually have an office there in Santiago that's really meant to be the headquarters for all of Latin America. We have over 24,000 Sloan alums, but we also have close to 140 MIT alums, and you are certainly part of that MIT alumni network. And there's great both strengths in numbers and strengths in individual. When you look at impact, we have over 30,000 active companies that can be directly tied to MIT. Those companies have created over 4.6 million jobs and generate over $2 trillion a year. If we were to wave the MIT flag as if it was a nation, it would be somewhere between the 10th and 11th largest economy in the world. So that's really, very high level of impact. And it all begins really with you spending your time on campus for that year. I talked about careers. I want to talk a little bit about the application process. So Sloan Fellows has 2 application deadlines. That first one is actually coming up. It's October 3rd. The second one is in mid-January. To be totally honest, it's not that much of a difference if you're applying in round 1 or round 2. For other programs, I may say something slightly differently. If you listen to me talk on the MBA front, it's just slightly different on the Sloan Fellows front. So take your time to put forth, a really strong application that best represents who you are. The other thing I want to mention is within Sloan Fellows, we actually have admissions advisors who are more than willing and to chat with you one-on-one, to spend some time really hearing about your personal situations. And then to really, talk to you about whether or not this might be the right program for you and this might be the right time. So, I encourage you to connect with us and to, if it makes sense, schedule a call with one of our admissions advisors. Before we take questions from the audience, which we're going to do, I'm going to actually stop my share for a little bit because we have a manageable size. I would love for each one of you to do two things for me, if you wouldn't mind. First and foremost is to really give a piece of advice to the individuals who are here when thinking about the program, thinking about the application process. We'll start with that. And then the second thing is I'm going to ask you for a word or phrase that really best describes your experience to date. And so why don't we start? I'm going to start with Catalina because you've always been going last. A piece of advice you would give to the people in the audience today.
I think the most important thing when you are applying to a program like this is to be your true self, because it will show. It will show in the interview. It will show in the statement of purpose or the essay you will create. It will show in your video. And that means that you're going to be coherent on all of these pieces of the application. The application is successful when you are your true self and you're coherent with that. If you don't, what is going to happen is that some of those pieces is not going to fit, and that's why you're not going to get there. So just be yourself and go with it.
Thank you. Sebastian, a piece of advice.
Yeah, I'm going to react to one of the questions in the chat by Andrea about the imposter syndrome. I think if there's a mistake you can make is not dreaming big when you come to MIT. This is your year to explore. This is your year to learn about all the possibilities that are out there. And to be honest, you're not going to get an answer if you don't tell the universe what you want. So be bold.
Nayeli, this is great advice. Yep.
So considering it's middle management program, you really need to consider that you will leave your job and then you will be out of the market for a year and then you will need to get a job back. If you're really lucky to ensure that your current employer sponsors you, well, that's a great opportunity. Unfortunately, that's not the regular practice in Latin America. Therefore, just consider that usually in a time, let's say, how long would it take for you to get a job from zero? It might take 5-8 months, might take 1 month, which is amazing. But there's a real risk that you will be looking for a job for a couple of months. So you need to consider that and try to be very clear which would be your goal. Definitely, I think as Anna and Catalina mentioned, you just get with a plan to the Sloan Fellows program and then everything changes. It might happen, it might not happen. It's up to you and the opportunities you can leverage. But if you want, you need to try to be clear if you want to go back to your market, if you want to stay in the US, because as Donna mentioned, you have this opportunity of staying in the US for 3 years. And of course, if you want to stay more, you need to get a visa yourself. But in my case, I was planning to go back to my market. That was my plan since day one. But then discussing with my husband, he said like, no, we should stay. And, he decided, no, we both discussed, but there was this opportunity. So I stay in the US. But you really need to be very clear on the path forward. In a recommendation or a phrase would be, you can have it all, but not at the same time. So you really need to prioritize on all the opportunities you have. It could be just taking this class and going fully in depth with this, and that means you will not be able to go out on the weekend, and you really need to study a lot. And as Donna asked, how hard was it? I just want to add that when I went there, my plan was not to take marketing classes because I was like, I've been in marketing for a long time. So why? I knew I could learn something, but the first class I was like, I know nothing. It's like, I have no clue on analytics in a lot of strategies that professors were sharing, like subscription strategies, growth strategies. Again, it was not only about brand building. So I was like, no, I really want to understand this. So, I mean, I needed to stay late till I knew how to, at least the basics of programming on R, which was a challenge for me. But definitely, if you want to learn, then you need to put time on that.
Oh, great. Thank you so much, Gonzalo. Piece of advice.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm gonna take one of the questions about making a career change. That was my main focus of deciding going to MIT. First, I believe this year is a great moment to focus on that switching, no? Because you from day one will be together with advisors and there is a career office at the program that will help you try to understand which is that career change that you are looking for. But one important advice in that way, it's that and it's something that I got to know at the early beginning, it's that if you are planning to do a pivoting in your career, there are three ways of doing it. No, you can switch your position, you can switch the industry, or you can switch geography. No, so the recommendation is try to switch one and no more than two. No, it's quite difficult to do a switch in three, almost impossible. Actually, I was trying to do it and I didn't make it. I did a switch in two that it's also difficult, obviously, but it's something that you will need to understand. So yeah, I believe that's my advice in doing a career switch. I'm happy to answer more questions after it if you get in contact with me through LinkedIn or my email.
And finally, Anna, a piece of advice.
My piece of advice would be open your mind. So that's the only way that you're gonna take the most that a program can offer. It applies for you, but it also applies for your family. So that's something to take into consideration. Are you and your family in the mood of experimenting new things, on learning new things, on leaving diversity to the peak? Because that's what you're going to happen at MIT. If you are not, probably you're going to get frustrated. If you are in, it will going to be an amazing experience. Every time that people ask me, would you do it again? I answer tomorrow. It's just let me go. I'm always in the reunions. Every time that there are events on MIT, I participate, because the experience, it's really transformative, not only from an intellectual standpoint, but from a personal standpoint.
Okay, and while I have you, Anna, a word or phrase that best describes your experience at Sloan.
Open-minded, I would say.
Okay, Gonzalo.
So yeah, change the mindset.
Nayali.
Say, unlearn, relearn.
Oh, Sebastian, these are great. These are different.
I would say transformative and invigorating.
And then finally, Catalina.
Challenging.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you all very much. I'm actually going to stop my share. And then we're all here. And Rayvon, are there any additional questions? We do have a few minutes here. Any additional questions for the panelists? They've been really great, actually, at monitoring the chat themselves. Oh, Sebastian, I love your shirt. I did not notice it before. That is awesome. Very nice.
So there is a question about the experience for the families. I arrived to Boston with 2 kids and came back with 3. So it's a great place to grow up a family. And my kids were, I got 3 under 4, as the Americans were telling me. So I was practically crazy after it, but it's a great place to grow up, to bring your family.
Wow. That is great. And not uncommon. I sort of chuckle a little bit, but you're not the only one by any means. Okay, I think with that, we're pretty much out of time. I want to begin by thanking everybody who logged in this evening. We greatly appreciate it. And thank you so much for your interest. Please go on our website and look for other opportunities to engage with us, both virtually and in person. And I really want to thank the panelists. Thanks to each and every one of you for spending some time with us this evening and to really providing such incredibly thoughtful answers to all of the questions. I wish you all the best of luck and please stay in touch.